Hello friends, welcome to Freedom Homestead. My name is Tangie and I am going to share this recipe with you. I mentioned this during our grocery haul that I was going to be making a spaghetti squash recipe that I found. It has feta cheese, ricotta cheese, tomatoes, and some of you said, will you share the recipe? So this is me sharing the recipe. This is not exactly how the original recipe is because number one, the original recipe calls for pesto. I don't have any made, but I do have some fresh basil that I will cut up and top with. And then it also called for sun-dried tomatoes. I don't have any of that, but I do have fresh tomatoes from the garden. So I'm gonna chop up maybe one or two of my little paste tomatoes. I don't know if you see them over there. And I will put that in like probably toward the end so they don't get burnt. So anyway, I already have the oven preheated to 400 degrees and I've already got my spaghetti squash cut in half and the seeds scooped out. So let me show you what else goes in here. We're going to start by drizzling some avocado oil over both halves and then just smearing it around to make sure the inside is nice and coated. Now I am seasoning both sides with salt and pepper, and I'm showing you that I'm using Redmond's real salt just to let you know that this is a recent switch that we've made in our home. Just doing the research on salt and the microplastic load that they have, and I can link down in the description box below an article from the National Library of Medicine, just talking about the different microplastic loads in the different types of salt. It's a very interesting read, and I highly recommend taking a look at it. I'm not an affiliate of Redmond's Real Salt. I don't have a discount code. I bought it with my own money. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that to bring up the point that this is a really great way to give your family trace minerals, and you might want to consider what is in the salt that you use in your house. Okay, so now that I've seasoned both sides and I'm struggling here with the ricotta cheese, we are going to put about half a cup of ricotta cheese in both halves of the squash. Now we're going to add the feta. I bought an 8-ounce block of feta in the brine, and so I'm just cutting it in half, and then I'm going to cut the half in half and then place the quarter block of feta, 1/4 block of feta in each half of the squash. The original recipe that I found also called for a tablespoon of pesto in each half of the squash, as well as some sun-dried tomatoes, which, by the way, would be absolutely phenomenal. But as I mentioned before, I'm going to be using fresh tomatoes and fresh basil. So I add the basil before serving, and I do add the tomatoes a little bit later in the baking process. But you want to go ahead and cover your squash with aluminum foil, and you're going to roast at 400 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes. Now, how you know that your spaghetti squash is done is when you are able to easily pierce the skin with a fork. All right, friends, so I just stuck that in the oven and it's going to bake covered for 30 minutes. And then I wasn't really planning on showing y'all this, never mind the dishes. So we are having grilled chicken tenderloins, and I have these doing it just a quick countertop marinade. I have this balsamic dressing and marinade with avocado oil from Primal Kitchen. Got it at my salvage store for $2.69 because paying $6 for salad dressing is frowned upon in this establishment. Not to say that I would, but you know, I don't want to if I don't have to. Anywho, but anyway, it has clean ingredients. And I just poured that over the chicken, and that's just gonna sit because that's gonna cook up pretty quick. So we'll just let that soak up all the yumminess while the squash is roasting. But I'm gonna once I pull that out, that's when I'm going to put the garden tomatoes. I'm gonna just do a few because my husband doesn't like chunks of tomatoes and stuff. So I'm just gonna do maybe a few on one of them. I don't know. I'll decide later. But anyway, and let that cook uncovered for about 10 more minutes. And then we'll top it with some fresh basil. And it's going to be, I've never had this before, but I am anticipating wonderful flavors coming from this. So anyway, stay tuned and we'll find out together. The squash has roasted at 400 degrees for 30 minutes covered. Now I am topping it with my tomatoes and I'm going to put it back in the oven, and I'm actually going to roast it for about 20 minutes uncovered. What I'm wanting is for the tomatoes to get roasted, as well as for the cheese to kind of get a golden bubbly top. So I actually left this in the oven for about 15 minutes, and when I took it out, as you can see, it looks hot, but it's not caramelized, and that is because I had accidentally turned the oven off. But that's okay. I throw it back in the broiler in a little bit, but at this point I'm going to use a fork and I'm going to, as you can see, mash that cheese, get everything stirred together, and get the spaghetti squash flaked. And now I'm going to put it under the broiler to get that caramelization on the top. While I'm waiting on the squash to finish, I decided to throw together a quick cucumber and onion salad with a homemade balsamic vinaigrette dressing. So this is a cucumber from the garden. It's been washed. Now I'm peeling it. I go ahead and cut it down the center and scoop out the seeds, and then just cut it into chunks. I had some leftover red onions sliced that I had from something else that we ate in the week, and I just put the leftovers in the bowl with the cucumbers. Don't worry, those cucumber skins went to the chickens. Now we are going to put together our balsamic vinaigrette. I don't have like a precise recipe. What I use is avocado oil. I have this elderberry balsamic vinegar, which is just incredible. Honey, salt, pepper, and lemon juice. Once everything is in the jar, I put the lid on it and shake it up, and then I just taste it and adjust to get the acidity, the sweetness, and the seasonings the way I like it. My squash is almost done, and so I want to go ahead and prepare my basil to top the squash with. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the leaves of the basil and I am just stacking them on top of each other, and then I'm rolling them up tightly. Now from this point you can cut with a knife, but I'm just going to use some kitchen shears to cut them into little ribbons. All right, friends, so like I said, this is the first time I've made this, but it looked really, really good on Facebook, so okay, don't burn my mouth. It's very good. I may have gone a little overboard with the salt, but That's because I wasn't taking into account that the feta is salty. And it actually could use more tomato, because tomato, the sweetness and the acidity of the tomato would actually do wonders for this. But overall, it's really, really good. Now, if you have never had spaghetti squash before, somebody actually asked me this. They said every time I make it, it seems like no matter what I do, it kind of has a crunch to it, and it will. I personally have never baked a spaghetti squash to the point of tenderness. Like I think it's just going to be kind of crispy. But anyway, this is very good. I definitely recommend it. Again, I would go a little heavier with the tomatoes. You need something bright and acidic to balance the saltiness of the cheeses. I might add a little bit more basil to mine too. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. The chicken looks good. I know the salad is definitely good. This is a cucumber salad from the garden, some red tomatoes, and a homemade balsamic vinaigrette. All of this is real food, delicious food, and nutritious food. So until next time, remember to be vigilant, be prayerful, and be prepared. God bless you all, and we'll catch you in the next one.